Hi, Jeff Shore, author of Be Bold and Win the Sale. Welcome back to our series, Closing with Your Conscience, 5 Rules of Virtuous Persuasion. And what we want to talk about right now is the idea of how we keep the close conversational. And I'm not talking about conversational by way of technique as much as I'm talking about conversational by way of mindset. And here's my concern. Over and over again in sales training classes that you've been to, and I know I've been to, oftentimes that closing technique is so different than my natural voice. So when we read a lot of the closing techniques that we see in books or what we hear from a lot of sales trainers, they just don't sound like me. They don't sound conversational. And by the time we're done, when I try and piece this together with my natural presentation, it doesn't fit. So when I think this through in an illustration, I think through, I've had this conversation with a customer. It's very normal. I talk about being coffee worthy. It's not a matter of whether I'm going to have my new BFF here, whether we're going to vacation together. It's just, would this customer have a cup of coffee with me? And I find that yes, I'm coffee worthy, and we've got a good relationship and a good rapport, and it's very conversational. But now if I get to that point at the end where it's time to ask for the sale, and I go into full-blown sales training mode, and I recite something to them that I learned in a class somewhere, I'll tell you what it's going to sound like. It's going to sound like, what's it going to take to get you to buy my product today? And now that may not be what you're feeling, but that's what it's going to sound like to your customer. And your customer's going to stand there like, what was that all about? Where's the guy that I was talking to? When we switch from being conversational to being somehow manipulative, it's always going to fail. And it's going to destroy all the work that you've done up to this point. So the key here is that you have to have your closing approach down so well that it is absolutely consistent with your voice. I'm going to suggest to you right now that when the voice in your head says, this is a good time to ask for the sale, my question for you, what is your auto response? And I want you to think about that right now, where you're sitting right now. The voice says, this is a good time to ask for the sale. What are you going to say in a way that's smooth and natural and conversational? Now here's my question. Are you having to think about it? Are you having to think about it too much? Because if you're having to think about that too much, then you're having to plan out in your brain, what are the right words? What's the right delivery? And then when you do that, you're going to break out of the conversational mode you've had up to this point, and it's not going to be natural. You need to be able to ask that closing question over and over again in practice out loud in a voice that's absolutely natural for you. So when the voice pops into my head and I hear it, it just triggers this conversation that says, oh, there it is. Now I've said it so many times out loud that I can go into my auto response. Wow, Jack, Barbara, I got to tell you, this has been so much fun getting to know you and seeing what you need and seeing that what we have really does fit your needs. And I'm so excited to help you to make this yours. What do you think? Would you like to move forward today? It's just now, maybe that's not the right voice for you, and that's fine. In fact, you should be on the search for your own voice. But the idea is that I've repeated this so many times that now it's simple and it's natural, and I'm not going to stutter. Keep it conversational in that close, and you'll change their world.